Let's dive into one of life's biggest questions, but we're going to do it with a bit of a twist. Our guide isn't some ancient philosopher. Not at first, anyway. It's a sci-fi series called Pluribus, and it has a really fascinating and honestly kind of troubling vision of what the future of happiness might look like. Okay, but really think about that for a second. Imagine a world where anything you wanted, a gourmet meal, a private jet, just poof, it appears the moment you think of it. Is that paradise? Or is it some kind of trap? This is the central paradox we're going to unpack today. So the world of Pluribus is basically designed from the ground up for perfect happiness. There's this benevolent, all-knowing collective consciousness that's taken over, and its only job is to fulfill every single human desire. And yet, the few independent humans we follow in the story are profoundly, deeply miserable. Let's meet Carol Storka. She's a massively successful author. She creates these worlds that millions of people absolutely adore. She's got fame, she's got wealth, she's got fans falling all over her. By every external measure, she should be ecstatic. But listen to her. Her own words just drip with this bitter, cynical rage. Her success feels more like a prison. You see, this collective provides everything. Carol's favorite breakfast from some random bed and breakfast she went to years ago? Done. Another character wants to fly around in his own version of Air Force One? It's his. They even deliver a live hand grenade when Carol sarcastically asks for one. The system is built to just give and give and give, but it has absolutely no understanding of what human beings actually need. So if everyone is getting exactly what they want, why is it all going so wrong? Why is Carol so angry? Why is this other guy, Kumba, just constantly chasing the next luxury, the next thrill, in this desperate, endless hunt? And why are other characters, like Kusamayu, so ready to just throw away their own identity to feel like they belong? And this is where our analysis really kicks into gear. The series gives us this puzzle. In a world that's literally engineered for happiness, nobody seems to be happy. That suggests that the very definition of happiness they're using is just fundamentally broken. What if they're all chasing a ghost? To find a better answer, we have to look beyond science fiction and into a much older philosophy. To really get what's missing in the world of Pluribus, we need a new lens. And for that, we're going to turn to this incredibly powerful concept from classical Islamic philosophy, Saʿādah. It's a term that offers a much richer, much deeper way of thinking about what it means to truly flourish. Now, Saʿādah isn't just a simple one-to-one translation for happiness. It's pointing to something way more profound than that fleeting joy you get when something goes your way. It speaks to a state of ultimate, all-encompassing well-being. Well, over 1,000 years ago, the philosopher al-Farabi was wrestling with this exact same problem. And in his major work, Kitab Tahsil al-Saʿādah, which, you guessed it, translates to the attainment of happiness, he laid out this amazing blueprint that feels, honestly, more relevant today than ever. You have to understand that there are two completely different things that we call good. And here they are. On one side, you've got Saʿādah. We can think of this as true, deep fulfillment. And on the other side, you have lazza, which is that temporary, fleeting pleasure. For Farabi, mixing these two up is pretty much the biggest mistake you can make on the road to a happy life. Let's break this down. Saʿādah means ultimate bliss, good fortune. But the really key part here is Saʿādati Darain, a state of well-being that covers both this world and the next. Right away, that elevates it way beyond just momentary pleasure. It's not about feeling good right now, it's about achieving a complete and lasting state of being. And this brings us to the core tool that Saʿādah gives us for our analysis. You see, Islamic philosophers drew a really sharp line between two very different kinds of satisfaction. And understanding this difference, well, it's the key to unlocking the misery of all the characters in a pluribus. Okay, so on one side you have haz. Think of this as temporary, material pleasure. It comes from the outside, the taste of amazing food, the feeling of luxury. It's great, but it doesn't last. On the other side you have huzur. This is a deep, lasting internal peace. It's spiritual, it's intellectual, it's a contentment that comes from within you, not from what the world throws at you. And here's the crucial part. The world of Pluribus is a world that can only offer haz. So with this new framework, this idea of huz versus huzur, we can look back at the characters and suddenly everything starts to click into place. Each one of them is on this flawed quest for Saʿādah, but they're making a huge mistake. They're chasing huzz, that fleeting pleasure, and expecting it to somehow add up to huzur, that lasting peace. Kumba is the perfect example of someone just chasing hawz. He asks for the fanciest plane, the best food, he's always seeking some new sensual gratification. But you notice, it's never enough. The pleasure is intense, but it fades so fast, and he immediately has to find the next hit. He is completely trapped on a hedonistic treadmill, and he's not even on the same road as huzur. Alright, let's go back to Carol. She's talking about her own work, the very thing that made her a superstar. But she sees it as shallow, as just another piece of empty entertainment for the masses. She despises the superficiality, which tells us everything. She is desperately, desperately searching for something with real substance. This means Carol's cynicism isn't just a bad attitude, it is a profound spiritual protest. The world offers her a massage chair and her favorite bacon, but these are all just forms of huzz. They're just noise. Her soul is screaming for meaning, for purpose, for a kind of peace that you can't have delivered on a platter. Her search for what's real is relentless. When the collective is bragging about its wonderful joining, she's the one who cuts right through the nonsense by asking about the cost, nearly 1 billion deaths. She completely rejects a fake peace, a manufactured huzur that's built on a horrifying lie. She's searching for a peace that is authentic and earned. And what about the others? The ones like Kusimayu, who want to join the collective. You know, their desire for connection, for belonging, that's a valid need. That's actually a component of huzur. But their method is totally self-destructive. They're willing to give up their individuality, their reason, their free will. And from the perspective of Saʿādah, those are the very tools you need to achieve any kind of true well-being. So if just passively receiving pleasure doesn't work, what does? Well, the philosophy of Sadat offers a completely different roadmap. It's not about what you get, it's all about who you become. The path to Saʿādah is an active, internal journey. It's something you cultivate through knowledge, through virtue, by using your reason and your willpower. It demands effort. It demands purpose. It is the absolute opposite of the world in a Pluribus, where the characters are just passive consumers of pleasure. And that, right there, is the core tragedy of this fictional world. Happiness has been turned into a commodity, a service that gets delivered to your door. The characters have been robbed of the very journey, the struggle, the growth, the cultivation of virtue that is absolutely necessary to achieve a genuine, lasting state of peace, or huzur. Which, of course, leaves us with a final, pretty challenging question. The world of a Pluribus might be science fiction, but how different is it really from our own endless scroll for the next dopamine hit, the next online purchase, the next temporary thrill? In our own lives, in our own pursuit of happiness, are we also chasing haz at the expense of huzur? It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for watching.